Hello, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Welcome into another edition of the Recruiting Rundown here on Gamecock Central. I'm Kendall Smith, joined alongside of Wes Mitchell, here to talk all about South Carolina's Week 4 recruiting ventures as they took on Charlotte at Williams-Brice Stadium last weekend and had some big names in town on visits with the Gamecocks. So we'll get into all of that in just a second, but for anybody who didn't watch our most recent video, we do have a quick little PSA for all of you about this weekend's game between South Carolina and South Carolina State. And I shouldn't even say this weekend because the game isn't happening on Saturday anymore. It's happening on Thursday at 7 p.m. at Williams-Brice Stadium. That's South Carolina against South Carolina State. And that is, of course, because Hurricane Ian is expected to come through the Midlands area this weekend. So that game now moved to Thursday. So if you had tickets, if you had plans to come out, just know the game is now on Thursday at 7 p.m. And just because it's moved doesn't mean the recruiting is stopping, Wes. As we know, South Carolina always be cruitin', as they say, ABC, don't laugh at me. And they were doing that last weekend. Of course, when they were playing Charlotte, had a big name in town in Elijah Griffin. He is a 2025 defensive lineman, 5-star out of Savannah Christian Prep in Savannah, Georgia. So we've all got to know, Wes, how was that visit for Elijah? And how do you think South Carolina positioned themselves with Elijah being in town?
You know, I think a kind of new name for South Carolina fans, a young kid, class of 2025, but is actually right now the number one prospect in the country for that class. I know it's very, very early, so those rankings are going to shift quite a bit, but already highly recruited, offers from everybody. And South Carolina has put themselves on the radar. Now, I will say this, Georgia is like the favorite right now. And Georgia, obviously, with what they're doing on the field, off the field, they're tough to beat, and they've got in on him early as well. They've offered him, much like South Carolina. So it's going to be a tough battle. But if you're Jimmy Lindsey, who he actually really loves, spoke very, very highly of Jimmy Lindsey to Gamecock Central. This kid likes South Carolina. He's already been there twice. He was at South Carolina in the summer, was back for the game. South Carolina's in it at the same time. Going to be tough to beat the defending national champs. On the other hand, it is a long time until signing day for the class of 2025, which is a crazy sentence to even say.
We keep mentioning how old it makes
you don't get to say that you're old. You don't even get to say
no,
it. So
it makes me feel old. I graduated high school in 2019. That makes
me
do
you know how old you make other people feel when you say that sentence?
Listen, age is just a number. So we're all just going to keep moving on. Doesn't matter how old you are, it just matters how you feel. And as long as you're confident in that, you're good. Those are my wise words for the day. But
Preach to him.
Yeah, I'm preaching. Elijah, not the only big time name to be in Columbia this past week. And a couple of guys that are already committed to the Gamecocks, including Isaiah Jada, an offensive lineman who was on his official visit. And he's actually an interesting story because he's gotten some recent offers from schools like Auburn. So a couple schools trying to come in and I guess poach him from South Carolina, for lack of a better term. So this was a big time visit for him. South Carolina really needing to seal him and make sure the deal was done. And do you think that happened this weekend with Jada?
Yeah, sometimes we kind of gloss over the official visits when the guys are already committed because it's not really that newsworthy. With Jada, it kind of is for the reasons you just laid out, Kendall. Getting a hard push there from Auburn. Illinois has been involved. Oklahoma State has been involved. They've all offered recently. So this is the perfect example of somebody South Carolina got in on early. They secured the commitment, and now other schools are hopping in too. So I think it was important to get him in. Most importantly, get his family in. His family did not visit last time. They did visit with him this time. He told me it sort of checked all the boxes that they were looking for as well. So that was good. I think this is one we're going to continue to have to monitor leading up to signing day. He's still talking about taking a couple of other visits. He told me he wasn't sure where he was going to take the visits. He did tell the On3 Auburn site, Auburn Live, a few weeks ago that he was probably going to set up an official with Auburn. That hasn't happened yet. So obviously, Auburn has their own set of problems going on right now as a football team. So we'll see if that actually happens or not. I would say it like this. percentage wise, I think South Carolina is in an excellent spot to hang on to him, to keep him. Like, it just went really, really well. He used the word home multiple times. And this is not a kid from the state of South Carolina at all. He's playing ball in Utah right now. So that was a good sign, I think, for Gamecock fans. But still, as always, if the visits take place, that's something we will be monitoring. You'd have to pay attention to it. But again, like percentage wise, I think there's a really good chance that he ends up with South Carolina in their class.
So I think a lot of people wondering, when is that next welcome home tweet going to come out? And over the weekend, we saw a lot of high school players who were tweeting out that they got offers from South Carolina. So Wes, any names that you can share with our viewers about who just got offered by the South Carolina Gamecocks after visiting this weekend?
Yeah, full disclosure, I'm checking my notes here, Kendall. There is one that I think we need to kind of highlight a little bit, a new offer to Edwin Joseph, a 4-star wide receiver from Florida. This is a kid that we've seen their wide receiver board shift several times, I think, for this class 2023. They want to add another high school guy to the class. I think they could look portal at wide receiver eventually, but this is another high school kid. He's listed as an athlete, 4-star, but I think will probably be recruited as a wide receiver for South Carolina. Then 2024, Channing Goodwin, who's a kid actually playing ball up your way, Charlotte, at Providence Day, loaded football program up there. 2024, 3-star guy, but has a really nice offer list already. Could be a 4-star eventually. And his father is Jonathan Goodwin, who played at Michigan, star football player growing up, and I believe still lives in Columbia. I know at one point he did live in Columbia. So there are some ties there to Goodwin, to Channing Goodwin and that family. So a couple of guys there for Gamecock fans to know.
Let me just say that my high school beat Providence Day when I was in high school. So I feel very proud of that, knowing how much Providence Day has just grown as a football program over the years. I mean, there have been a couple guys that we've mentioned that South Carolina has been very, very interested in from the Charlotte area that go to Providence Day. So a budding football program, lots to look forward to for the South Carolina Gamecocks on the recruiting trail, starting to get into those 2024, 2025 classes, which is already crazy to say, but you even have a couple of commits already for that 2024 class in Carson Hobbs and Dante Reno. So the recruiting is not going to stop anytime soon. It's always happening, and we will keep you updated on GamecockCentral.com. He's Wes Mitchell. I'm Kendall Smith. This has been the Recruiting Rundown. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching.